Welcome to Julie the Thrifty Designer. I'm still in Calne, England, and this is this wonderful, beautiful church, I do believe. Oh, it's an exquisite building. Look at these old houses and the roof. Oh, it's amazing. Come into the corner here so I can see, because this is what was a blind alley, and this is a driveway where people drive with their cars. Very quickly, I might add. Oh. I wonder how old this place really is. It is truly amazing. It's giving me the goosebumps. It's so incredible. Oh. Look at this. $1820. Oh, look at this. Ah, it's amazing. Oh, back breaking, but oh my goodness. Boy, I sure wish we had beautiful things like this where I live. It's amazing. These are just like gated pillar area here. Trying to hold the camera steady. My husband is 6 feet tall, and you can see how enormous that opening is. It rather dwarfs him. Trying to walk and not stumble at the same time. The gargoyles.
Go inside, the church is open this morning.
Oh, can we?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you. We have just been invited to go into this.
Class, so we've got the church.
Oh, I can go in. I'm following this lady right here. Oh my goodness, is this ever the most beautiful thing? Oh, thank you. I would love to. Oh, look at this. Oh my gosh. Wow. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, in the morning, if you'd like to just browse around.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sorry, we can't leave it open all the time.
Right.
But over here.
Okay, I'm trying to go without. Look at that ceiling.
So it's basically a 12th century church with some Saxon original foundations.
Right.
We've got the side chapel of St. Edmund, who was a very famous English saint who was Archbishop of Canterbury in 20, 30 time. And it's a minster church.
It is just breathtaking. How exciting.
This is the old parish chest here.
We saw that.
Yeah. Which is carved out of this tree so it wouldn't get stolen. It did get stolen. I haven't heard it.
I imagine if they're
Old. I think it's 15 or 16 something. Or maybe, oh, in fact, there is a date. It's in the year of Elizabeth I. Inside.
And what would be inside of this?
Where they would have kept safeties and valuables safely. There you are.
Oh,
Queen
just to keep.
Elizabeth.
So
So it would have been somewhere. Gives you the year 1579.
is it 15?
Watch your fingers. I'm going to leave that up for you. And then you can close it.
Oh, that is amazing.
And this would say it wouldn't get stolen. But it did get stolen. It did. And then it was found in somebody's barn.
When was it stolen?
Oh, somewhere in 16 something. So.
Wow.
And this whole tower fell down, so we had a new tower built in. I think that was 16 something. So the tower is more modern. And then the Victorians did all this, the pews and the carvings. Some of the carvings are quite famous. They're arts and crafts movement. Over there's a particularly lovely altar in St Edmund's Chapel.
Okay, I saw
And
that.
believe you me,
Oh, but I love having the history. This is wonderful. Oh,
I'm the church warden, so I know bit about it.
you're the church
Church warden.
warden?
Yes, it's an ancient, they've been church wardens since 13 something, so you have your clergy who look after the spiritual side of things, and then the church wardens who look after the fabric of the churches and the parish and make sure that everything is okay
Oh, okay.
for the spiritual things to happen.
Oh, that's,
So it's a voluntary thing.
oh, it's wonderful. Oh, my goodness. I am so very glad I followed you. I'm so very glad I followed you. Look at this massive pipe organ. I didn't film it very well from the other side. An altar. Look at this. It's just incredible. angel carvings. I don't know what that space is for. Looks like you could sit in there. On the altar up here. Yes. Look at all this. Oh my goodness. I would have never dreamed I could have gotten this close to a gilded, phenomenal.
Stop. Okay, don't stop.
Oh, sorry. I'm. All the way up the stained glass.
You're fortunate. Our drawing master is also somewhat of a local historian. So, he's come to answer any somewhat, I could say somewhat, you know. So, ask him any questions. He will tell you the answer.
I've found to answer you, yeah.
This.
This is just, we have nothing like this in the States.
Nothing. Well, at least not in the Colorado area.
We're in Colorado,
Oh, right,
Denver,
okay.
Colorado.
Oh, you've got lovely things like Grand Canyons that we haven't got.
Well, we had the beautiful mountain too. Before I totally film on you, I'm on YouTube and I'm going to be placing this on YouTube. May I record you when we speak? I want to just make sure. Okay. This pipe
This is
organ.
one of the most significant things in the church, actually, the organ case, because it was designed by a famous designer called C.R. Ashby, arts and crafts designer in the late 19th century, early 20th century. And one of his workmen in Chipping Camden in Gloucestershire, one of his workmen, a chap called Alec Miller, was a very famous, well-known woodcarver. And the angels on the case that you can see here, and if you go around the corner, around the side as well, and probably all the apostles around the pulpit were designed by him and actually cut by him as well, Alec Miller.
And what year was that?
About 1901 or thereabouts.
Okay.
Or something, before the First World War, certainly.
Wow.
But yes, and the case itself is celebrated. It's a wonderful organ, actually, but the case is celebrated because it's one of the major works designed by C.R. Ashby. And if you Google C.R. Ashby, you can find lots of information about him. Very important British designer in the history of design. And the fabric of the church is quite interesting as well, because it's for the size of Calne, it's actually a very large church. It used to be known as the Cathedral of Wiltshire, because it's so big, and it was built on the profits of the wool trade, first off in the 12th century onwards. And you can see that the arches down the end of the nave there are circular in the cross-section, which indicates that they're Norman.
Right.
Okay.
So they're actually 12th century, those arches. And then later arches closer to us are pointed, so they were built later, because the tower above us collapsed in the 17th century, and it was rebuilt then to a design they think again by Nash, another well-known English designer of the 17th century. And they had to displace the tower away to the side because the tower now is up to our right.
Oh.
But they had to rebuild this part of the church, just towards us, to take the weight. We've still got the Norman columns, pilasters below, but they put new arches and large arches, slightly pointed arches on the top to take the new design of Gothic architecture.
Yeah, the Gothic Renaissance.
In the 17th century onwards. But yes, it's a bit of an amalgam, like most churches in England, but it has this really early history with the Norman arches. There's one or two places, if you look at the fabric of the walls and things, that up on the wall towards the back you'll see some old corbels that are now not taking any weight. The little design heads in the wall.
Okay.
It used to take some weight of a clerestory across, which was taken out in, we don't know when, probably 14th century or something like that. But it's still got these odd remainders. Also interesting, the little rood screen over there is also designed by Alec Miller. There's the Three Wise Men walking up, and they were portraits of well-known philosophers of the time.
Oh.
One of them's called Bernard Shaw, I think. I can't remember who they are now, but they were Victorian philosophers that he did portraits of for the Three Wise Men. So, again, it's quite unusual.
Very nice.
Yeah. And of course now, very few churches now still have all their pews. This is Victorian pews.
They're gorgeous.
And the trends nowadays is to take all these pews out of churches and just have seats as you move around, so you can get greater use of the church space for concerts and all sorts of other things. But because static pews like this actually close down what you can do with the space
that's
a
true.
lot.
Yeah, my church has the pews, and they're talking about getting rid
But
of them.
they are actually wonderful Victorian design ones, so it'd be a shame to take them out. But,
I agree. It's too beautiful to take this out. I would not ever want to see it taken out.
and the font has got a kind of interesting later Victorian wooden construction on the top, which is an amalgam of all sorts of design styles in the turn of the century. But the stonework of the font itself is probably 15th, 16th century. So we've got everything from the 12th century right up to modern times. It's somewhere in the church, yeah.
That's incredible.
And it's under the floor somewhere, we haven't located that anywhere, but there is the grave of Jan Ingenhuis, who was a scientist in the 18th century, late 18th century, who invented effectively inoculation before Jenner and vaccination. Inoculation at first was invented by Jan Ingenhuis, who lived in Calne and worked at Bowood, and he's buried in the church somewhere.
Wow.
In fact, if
And
you
he's
go
not
to
even
Church
marked.
House, which is the house at the end of if you follow the lane down you came up and see Church House, there's a blue plaque there which tells you that that's where Ingenhuis was stationed for a while. So there's kind of interesting things about the church, certainly.
We didn't hear the beginning of what you said. Can I ask you kindly how old the church is? Do you know?
How do you age a church?
Okay, no, I'm just saying. Like,
When was it built?
It's everything from the 12th century right up to the 23rd century. You'll find examples in here.
So from the 1100s.
So 1100.
The obvious part you can see are the curved arches at the end there, and these really big fat columns are normal.
Okay.
So they're
12th century
12th to early
columns?
13th century, yes.
Wow.
Yes, and then the pointed arches were added later, still on the Norman columns, when the tower fell down in the 17th century.
Okay.
And they had to rebuild the tower and rebuild this part of the church in the 17th century because a lot of it had collapsed.
Wow.
And then also of note is the organ case here, the organ.
It's gorgeous.
It was designed by C.R. Ashby, well-known turn of the century arts and crafts designer from 1860s up to about 1914, First World War.
So he did it in the 1800s to design the...
He designed it right at the end of the 19th century.
Okay, wow.
And it was built up to the First World War.
So where do you...
He's a well-known British designer. If you Google C.R. Ashby, you'll find lots of information about him. And also, he had a chap who worked for him called Alec Miller, who was a renowned wood sculptor, designer, and he cut all the angels. So these angels and the ones round the corner in the frontage of the organ. And the apostles and the pulpit.
So where do you play the organ from?
From the keyboards just in there.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's quite a magnificent piece.
Oh, I do see it's a cabinet.
Yeah.
Is this all like gold or brass or what is
Okay,
this?
don't fall back in there, Julie.
It's gold.
And how long has that been there, you know?
That's also a well-known design. His name's losing it though. I've probably put it back though. But it's late Victorian. So at the same time as the education that design.
So here's where the organist would sit. There's a bench right here, and all those foot pedals. And then they probably open the doors of the glass door. And inside there's all of the whatever. And the 4 keyboard. Wow. It's amazing. Oh, look at that.
What is your name? Grant?
They had no sense of the history when the things like this were done. It's all from the famous book.
Well, sure, that's
They
true.
were a good man's history down there.
Oh, I see, because I was thinking when they, you know how they have a cornerstone on a lot of buildings and at the bottom, some little block, and it just has a date, a year.
Isn't that just
It's
beautiful?
11:30, and I just was wondering if there's a block.
No, you won't find that in
In one of the churches, they just don't recognize.
perhaps
it.
the old 21st or late 20th century church might have it.
Yeah. But most churches are timeless.
And because most churches who have built up and have a history from this church from the 12th century onwards, and you can't put any one date on it because
Because there's so many things that have happened and evolved over the time.
Exactly.
You've added the organ and
there's all
things.
sorts of interesting bits and pieces which we can't say exactly date.
Okay, so
For
we're thinking
example,
12th.
this wonderful stonework here.
That is just amazing. When was that done?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, probably 17th century, 15th century, but it's got these wonderful
I know. It's just amazing what people could do and carve them into
And
a.
these were the inspiration for the angels that were carved in wood by Alan Miller. Yeah.
I hope you're getting this. 'cause
What
this is
what
just-
would this be? What was this used for?
Well, that's the original choir, effectively. The choir now sits here, but originally the celebrants and the choir might.
Oh, the choir would
might-
sit in there. Well, that's funny. It's like.
Well, mostly the priests and the celebrants.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Wow.
And it's what kind of stone do we know?
Limestone.
Limestone.
This floor, are these
So
stones?
smooth.
It's all local limestone, bar stone.
Just
Are these floor tiles? Are they original or have they been redone more recent? They look so solid.
Again, it depends what you mean by original.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's not original 11th century, but maybe 17th.
We don't know. I mean, these are likely
You
to
don't know.
be moved around a bit into Victorian times, probably. But,
Okay.
but the
when they reinvented
slabs
the
themselves may
altar.
well be earlier. Because a lot of the grave slabs within the church here are, if you walk round, you can find some 17th century ones right up to the 19th century, still in the floor of the nave.
This is
So
just.
it's just a fascinating place, actually.
Oh, it is
There's
absolutely
all sorts of interesting bits
beautiful.
and pieces that are worth looking at. Yeah. All the corbels of.
Ah, I see that.
Each one is different design, and some of them are. There's a green man corbel somewhere. I can't remember where he is now, but I think down the end, up on the right, is a green man corbel, which again is quite unusual.
Wow.
But yes, just about every corbel has got the head carved into it.
Kind of like a gargoyle, sort of, or those
Well,
are
a
outside.
gargoyle is effectively is a corbel. A corbel is something in the wall that holds weight.
Okay, the Corval. Yeah, I
And
understand.
a gargoyle is a design usually on the outside of the church, which has got a little drain through it for the rainwater to be
To
directed
spout
away
out.
from the
Okay.
walls of the church, effectively, so they cascade over in front of the walls. But that's the function of a gargoyle, really. Yeah, the drain output.
Okay, and then there's the Corval. Yes, I understand what you mean. I thought you were meaning the decoration was like on the bottom of the Corval. Just how
Yes,
different.
there are some sad people who come and study them and take years
Yeah, I gotta take a
studying
look
each
at everyone.
one,
That's
documenting each one.
Terrible.
Oh, amazing.
But often they are local worthies, or they're kings and queens, or they're supposed apostles.
Okay.
Or some of them in some churches are really funny because they're quite irreverent scenes. Some of them.
No.
I don't think we've got any quite so salacious as some are, but they really are quite weird and interesting. And yes, as I say, everyone's different.
I'm
But
guessing
some of
those
the oldest
lights were
ones.
done more recently. Just
Sorry?
teasing. The lights of the
Yeah,
corner.
that's 21st century.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Well, see, we brought it up to today. All right.
Where are those apostles? I want to see them. Oh yeah, this is cool.
Isn't that nice? I had done a quick little walk by. Okay, that's the apostles he was talking about.
See up on the wall up here,
I'm.
what we call divorced call.
What is it called again?
Divorced call up here. Still in the wall up here. There's one there. And there's another one there,
okay.
which are called divorced call balls.
I
They
see.
did
But they're not used anymore.
support the weight, probably, of the floor that was put up, the crushery floor that was put up there in we don't know when, medieval times or sometimes. So these are probably 14th century or so. But they don't have a function now, but they've still been left there.
Well,
So they're much
it's
older.
part of the history.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's probably one or two more there. Yes, the old school up there as well.
Oh, and there's another one there. It's just that lonely little thing hanging out in the
That's right.
close to the ceiling there.
And they're probably 14th century.
Now, on the stained glass, are those original or have they been?
Well, actually, your colleague was talking about dates. Some of them you can find a date on one or two of them.
Well, right there, I see.
1867, that
Yeah,
one.
1867. Okay.
Again, they were mostly put up at different times. Mostly Victorian or slightly
All right.
newer. But,
They're absolutely breathtaking. Oh, I am just truly amazed by this beautiful church. Look at that. Now, last night we kept hearing the church bells go off for like a long time. Do they do that every night? Every night the church. The neighbors really go. I mean, just for that long period of time that it was.
you get people complaining that they're waking up by the bells.
Oh, I was loving it. But we don't have stuff like that.
Memorial.
You know, in Colorado, we don't have much of anything like that.
Yeah, Barbie, really show you like your camera in here.
What?
Your camera.
Yeah, it would be nice.
This is a functioning church. They have services here.
What is that?
All sorts of tombstones still.
Oh wow, so they were buried in here, some of them.
Oh, yes.
Pastors.
Again, quite common in churches.
1825.
So that one's quite recent, of 1825, because some of them are,
This one's 1820.
are 18th century and even before. Some of them worn away so much, it's really can't.
This one's 1823.
Oh my.
Vault of
walking
the
all over
Merriweather
this.
family. Henry Merriweather, Esquire, who died September 3rd, 1803, age 67, also Merriweather.
And somewhere,
28.
we've yet
Now,
to locate
was he
it,
one of
but
the pastors here?
It says
not
Esquire.
necessarily. Sometimes they're
Esquire.
landowners in the area and that have paid money to the church. And
Oh, I see. Because I was wondering why
they
they
can
got the
buy their
privilege
space
of,
in the church when they die.
They must
you know,
have done that, because I can't imagine why they would get inside the church versus outside
Exactly.
in the yard.
One or two of them were
They had some
Something
big bucks.
pretty special, you know.
Yeah, he has to be special to be front and center with the gold or brass or whatever that is.
Oh,
Did you figure out, is that brass or gold?
that one's brass. Yes.
Brass?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice.
Gold would be worn away by now.
It would have, yes. Brass. I mean, gold is
Yeah,
so
you're right,
soft.
gold would have.
As far as the vicars are concerned, one of the vicars.
Oh, we can send a guest book. I guess. Can we sign this?
1222, the vicar of Carl was Edmund of Abingdon. That's Saint Edmund, who went on to become the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Oh, I guess I'm not going to make it over on that side. I'm going to have to go This way. I hope I'm not making anybody dizzy with my
A
filming.
very early archbishop in the 13th century. Originally was the vicar of Calne.
The vicar. Okay, I'm coming over to get a
Today the 13th or 14th?
14th. Yesterday was the 13th. We lose track of days while we're here.
I know, that's why I don't.
Okay, here we go. This is the vicars. The first vicar that is written up here is from 1221. Robert Gross. I'm a terrible reader. Sorry, guys. Gross. And clear up to 1990. Alan Jeffrey Woods. I take it that is the current one because there isn't any after that. From 1221 to 1990. All the lists of the vicars.
Oh, so they don't have, this isn't an active church?
Yes, this is an active church. That probably is still the minister. Or they have not.
1990? Yeah, could be.
Oh, I see, so the guy that listed there, he could be the current one.
Right, exactly. And the plaque up here says 1794. Rest of it, I can't. Aged 70 years old. So this is a plaque in memory of, I'm not quite sure who, but it's amazing. And the windows.
And then there's like this some, I guess those are some old ancient knee pads that you can put down and kneel on.
Okay.
I wonder how old these are.
What's that?
Look at the knee pads here or whatever. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how old they are though.
That's pretty neat.
Look at that. It feels like this is old as the pews. This is, oh, I mean, it's just heavy woolen, like not knitted. What's the word I want to say? We're on a loomed or tapestry type of thing.
Is it the knee pillow?
Uh huh. It is so cool. They have.
Barb, take a picture of this so you'll know what this. This shows the name of the church, so the vicars, and the years. 1221, Robert Gross Test.
I was trying to pronounce it. I was like, okay.
Gross Test. Gross Test.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that couldn't figure it out.
Abingdon, he was 1222. Boy, the first guy didn't last long. Okay, you're out of here. Sorry.
Did he die maybe, or was he maybe not their kind of teaching or something? And they said nope.
Wow. Yeah, Larry and Butcher are nothing here. He would love this.
I don't know what that would be for. They're over here. They're cleaning the grounds of the church, so they have lawnmowers or something like that going. That's what you're hearing in the background.